I got my
Hey,
swag
there we
on,
go.
Mark.
Let me get mine. You'll like this one. Top that.
Oh my gosh, you're a topper. Welcome, everybody, to the fifth episode of the Iowa BizCast, a production of the Iowa Business Council. We're very excited to welcome in the president of the University of Northern Iowa, my alma mater. For those of you who know me, I'm not a partisan, but I'm very partisan with respect to my collegiate affiliations. And so I'm excited to welcome in my university president, Mark Nook. Mark's been the president. You're the dean of the presidents of the three public universities. And so welcome, Mark. Really appreciate your partnership. It's great to have you on the BizCast.
No, thanks, Joe. It's always good to sit down and speak with you and to share what's going on at UNI. And I'm only the dean by like 7 months, right? Wendy and I joined very close to the same time. But yeah, it's been it was 7 years ago, February 1st, that
Wow.
I started this position. So yeah.
Pretty incredible. And it should be noted that you're an Iowan. You're from Iowa,
Yep.
northwest Iowa. I think that really gives you a leg up on just the culture of the Midwest, the culture of Iowa specifically, and the type of student that UNI is serving.
Yeah, it's the reason I came back, right? That the position was really enticing to me, is the opportunity to work in my home state. I grew up wanting to be an astronomer, and there aren't a lot of jobs for astronomers in the state. There are a few at major universities and things. So this opportunity to come to the state and help build a great university and continue to help grow this state was really appealing.
That's great. Well, Mark, let's dive in. I think everybody knows the University of Northern Iowa, but what sets it apart from other university experiences, in the state and the Midwest and across the country? What would be your go-to there?
I think the thing that makes UNI special, and a lot of other institutions, this is their focus as well, but this real focus on the success of our students and the focus of our faculty and staff helping not just every student, but also their colleagues reach their educational, their professional, and their personal life goals, things they do away from work, away from school. That really is, it's very different here and it's very palpable. Students talk about it, faculty and staff talk about it. We've had accreditors that have visited here and say, I've never felt it like this anywhere else, right? So, and it really leads to a really strong sense of community on our campus, that faculty get to know the students, students get to know faculty, and those relationships last for lifetimes, right? I talked to an alum the other day who graduated 44 years ago. And still in touch with faculty on this campus. Another one that graduated longer ago than that and is still in touch with one of our emeriti faculty that's in the Western homes here. But sits down with him once a year. Those are the kinds of lifelong relationships that you build here at the University of Northern Iowa that really do make it a special place.
I think that's so great, and obviously, that continues throughout multiple classes, multiple generations, and we were talking about it, before we officially came live. But the vast majority of the students that go to UNI, I think that one of the best parts about the university is the fact that you educate so many Iowans.
Yeah.
Iowans across every county in the state of Iowa, per capita, it's unmatched. But you're also bringing in more and more students from around the country and even internationally to help deliver a quality experience to those students as well. Explain to our viewers why that's important in a setting like UNI, for that diversity among different students around the country and internationally.
Yeah, I think there's 2 points that are really important. Number one, and this is one that people don't think much about, but is really important, especially I think the Iowa Business Council and other businesses around the state. It helps build the economy of Iowa, right? These are people, 50% of our students that come to us from out of state take their first job and stay in the state of Iowa. With the labor shortage that we've got right now, then this is a way to help address that. So anybody that we can bring in from a surrounding state or another country, we've got a 50-50 chance of them staying here and helping us grow this state's economy, grow this state's quality of life. The thing that's important for our students, one, those students get a great education, but they also help our students understand differences in culture, right? I've lived in 6 states in my life, and each of those states is a little bit different. Each of those states has a different way of approaching problems and addressing issues, and celebrating accomplishments. And having that different perspective on our campus helps our students when they graduate and move into the business world, move into their careers, be able to deal with people from other countries, other states, other regions of the United States, which is really important to their personal success and the success of the organizations and the businesses that they work with. So getting that diverse nature of thought, of culture on our campus is really essential to helping our Iowa students be better prepared for the workforce that they're going to step into, where they're going to have to deal with people who have come from other regions of this country and from other regions of the world.
Yeah, without question. Even if you're going to go back to, small town Iowa or a mid-sized town in Iowa, you're still going to experience those things and need to know how to work with individuals of all different styles or persuasions or diversity. So that's such an important point.
Yeah.
Mark, as you think about and reflect over your 7-year tenure at UNI, you've just implemented just a whole series of innovative programs, increasing access and opportunities to students. I think about, more recently the gift for the newly named Wilson College of Business, where I went, what that's going to do for student success. But one of the most intriguing programs is the UNI at Community College program. And you've really, I think, struck something here. Explain what that is and what the long-term goals are for that UNI at Iowa Community Colleges.
Yeah, UNI at Iowa Community Colleges really started out with a partnership with Rob Denson at DMAC, Des Moines Area Community College. He asked us to come and deliver courses on his campus and build an education program there. And that really wasn't going to be possible to generate the faculty and do that. But we recognized pretty quickly that what we did have was a large number of online programs that students could take. But so that what developed was this idea of bringing the high touch personal attention to students that is the hallmark of a UNI education to our online programs by putting people in place at some of our community colleges and then really getting intentional about the education that we deliver. All of these online programs are built with the assumption that the student already has a 2-year degree from an Iowa community college. It's a prerequisite. And so we know exactly where they're at in their education. We build another 2 years online to go with that and focus these courses, these curricula on jobs that are going to be open to students. What we really recognized in putting this together was that there are so many students in Iowa who have a 2-year degree who have gone off and gotten jobs and started families, and whether they're living in Des Moines or Shenandoah or Sioux City, wherever it is, they don't have access to a 4-year education. And they're never going to be able to relocate to Cedar Falls or Ames or Iowa City. So how do we bring an education to them? And this was the way to do that, to be able to expand the opportunities for people to get an education at places where they live and at centers that they're used to interacting with, right? So what I see as the real beauty of this is these students have already gotten a 2-year degree at the local community college. They know how to access services there. They know where to park their car. They know how to get to the place so that if they need some help, they know what to do and how to engage that help. They also know they've got access to high quality internet, which may not be the case in their hometown. And so there's a real resource setting there in our community colleges. And so we've been able to build, and be able to offer 4-year education to, this year we've got 423 students in that program. It grew by 67% this last year.
Wow.
We've got that going on, and these students are located across our state. And we've done it without spending a single dime on infrastructure, right? Because we've used the resources that were already available. And one of the things that's really grown out of it is our faculty have gotten very innovative and entrepreneurial. And while this was originally, around just online courses, our accounting program this year recognized and had a large request from accounting firms in Des Moines to offer an accounting degree for some of the people that had 2-year accounting degrees in the Des Moines area. So now we have a faculty member that's going once a week to Des Moines and teaching accounting so that these students will be prepared to sit for the CPA exam and have a 4-year accounting degree, right? So it's no longer just an online program. It's becoming hybrid, and more, I think it'll grow to become somewhat face-to-face as well. It's been rewarding to watch how this thing has grown. What was an idea that initially had no way of working at all, morphed into something that now has 400 some students in it, and a growth trajectory that's a little bit hard to know exactly where it's going to go. But it's really on the right track. And what's exciting to me is we've got students getting an education that without this wouldn't be getting an education. They're going to be ready to take the jobs that are in their communities and that they're preparing to take. And it's going to improve the quality of life for them, their families, and for their communities, because these people are ready to take those jobs.
It's such an important point, I think, right? I mean, meeting the students where they're at and making sure that they have an opportunity to take advantage of the great programs at UNI. I think it's really special and should be, you and your team should be commended for meeting students where they're at. And, it sometimes in the higher education model hasn't always done a good job of that. And so for the university to get out of its comfort zone, for you to lead and making sure that that happens, I mean, all credit to you and your team. What a fantastic thing that you're taking to students across the state, and a 67% increase in a year. I think that's proof of concept. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, we're about twice where we thought we'd be at this time with enrollments. And it's really incredible. Looking forward to seeing 5 years from now, not only where it's at, but how many graduates we have out and what they're doing, and starting to hear some of those alumni stories that are always so fun for a president to engage in. And this is one of those things that it really is thanks to the team. There's so many great people that have had this that have made this happen. The idea got kicked around by a lot of people before we kind of settled in on it and things. And they really have done a heroic lift to bring this thing about as quickly as they have, and to be able to offer these students this service and to be able to grow then the economy of our state, because we've got workers ready for the jobs that are there.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an incredible achievement. Continuing along that theme of educating, workers and future generations of Iowans. Again, one of the noble and innovative things that you and your team have undertaken over the last several years was to create a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing, which was brand new to the university. And you worked with your team, and you identified a critical shortage in nursing around the state. We had conversations with some of our healthcare members at the very beginning of that, and the result of all that conversation was you getting approval from the Iowa Board of Regents to create a nursing degree at UNI to help that workforce situation. For those of you who may not know, nursing, healthcare in general, I think it's 9 out of the top 10 most needed jobs in our state right now. So again, credit to you and your team for recognizing the needs of Iowa, and then taking that extra step to going out and doing something about it. So what's the update on that program? I think you're taking students for the first time this coming fall, if I remember correctly. So where are we at with that program? And congrats on getting that through the board.
Yeah, thank you. It officially launches this fall. We'll have the first classes in. We've been renovating the facility, what we call the ITTC. It's really the old women's gym way back, but it's where our IT program is, a lot of our student support services. But there's a a floor that we've been able to renovate that had been largely unused, to create state-of-the-art nursing education facilities. Those are just about finished up. They'll be finished up later this spring. We've got the faculty, the initial faculty hired, and have built out the curriculum, so it's all ready to go. And starting and have built the clinical sites and things like that that we'll need as these students move through their education. We'll start with a fairly small cohort initially, about 24. Make sure that we've got everything working the right way, and then try to expand this thing fairly quickly because of, as you said, this dire need. One of the things that really helped us with this, not only is the need really high and exacerbated by COVID, it really showed us the how severe the need for nursing and other healthcare workers, allied healthcare workers there is across the state and country. But the other thing we found is that about half of when you look at the students that were sending in applications to you and I, and they were saying, when we asked them, what do you want to study? There was a whole bunch of those students that said education, a bunch of them said business, and a bunch of them said healthcare. And the thing that shocked all of us, because we had never really pulled this together, there were more students saying healthcare than business and education combined.
Wow.
And we don't have a nursing program. We have a few healthcare related programs, but it's certainly not something we're known for. We are known for business. We are known for education. And yet twice as many students were sending in an application saying, I'd really like to do something in healthcare. So not only is there a tremendous need, there's a tremendous desire amongst students to get into the program and to come here to do that. So it really was a no-brainer to move forward. And it became a fairly easy lift in light of the challenges that the healthcare industry is seeing and feeling at the moment, especially over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, really great job again, and again just showcasing the willingness for the university to partner with the business community on what those needs are long term, generationally, frankly, for our state. And again, matching up those market needs, I think, is just critical and something that universities should continue to do.
It's exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
It's exactly what you and I's history has been, right? If you look at the top 10 jobs that require a baccalaureate degree in terms of the job openings that'll happen over the next few years, number one is nursing. But after that, they're either in business or they're in education. And we have always tried to align our curriculum with the workforce needs, especially those careers, those jobs that require a baccalaureate degree, with the jobs that are here in Iowa, because we are educating so many Iowans. And we are, as a state-funded organization, we've got to be focused on helping Iowa grow and develop. And that comes primarily through our curriculum and the things that we can do to build the quality of life in the state.
Hugely important, right? And something that is only going to increase with importance as we continue on this journey.
Exactly.
Outside of the classroom, UNI provides a lot of great services throughout all 99 counties through its business and community services programs and platforms, whether it's helping small businesses and manufacturers become compliant or be aware of compliance regulations that might be an issue in their industry, or helping them with market research or others. What are some key areas that you think that should be known to the business community throughout Iowa that BCS really provides that folks might not be aware of? What would you say would be some of the highlights there?
Yeah, there's a couple things that really stand out. The Institute for Decision Making and what they do to work with businesses of all sizes, but also communities and school districts to help them, whether it's with strategic planning or visioning, or just understanding their business processes and practices, the way they engage with the community, is really essential. And they, all of these programs, we do about 35 to 3,700 interactions or different organizations a year in the state of Iowa, which people don't know UNI is doing, but we really are this huge economic development arm.
Yeah.
And Advance Iowa is the same way, helping people market their businesses, their industries, their communities, their regions. One that is really special and dear to me is the Family Business Center and the work that we do with family businesses around the state. And businesses like Sukup, businesses like Vermeer, have been very engaged in this and sharing what they've learned about running family businesses, growing family businesses, transitioning family businesses from one owner to the next, one generation to the next, or transitioning a family business to an ESOP. All of those are things that are tricky and difficult and huge decisions. And the Family Business Center has really been a great way for small businesses, new businesses that are family owned, and businesses that have been around a long time to share information, to exchange knowledge, to help each other figure out how to, one, stay in business, but how to grow your business and how to continue to serve the needs of the community where you're at. So those are just a few the things we're doing in metal castings with the small to mid-sized manufacturing sector. We've got a large federal grant right now to help small to mid-sized manufacturers gear up to what's called Industry 4.0 standards. It's implementing automation and 3D printer castings and things of that sort. And you know, in particular, this is a Defense Department grant because the Defense Department relies on these small to mid-sized manufacturers in their defense supply chain. And so moving their efficiency up is really important. And what I really like about this is that most of these small to mid-sized manufacturers don't cut their employee base. Their employee base stays about the same, may go up a little bit. It gets upskilled, and they put out a lot more product. So they continue to employ as many people, if not increase, and they increase their salaries because they're doing a little different job, and they're able to put out a better product in a more timely manner. So it's really an important part of helping grow the manufacturing base in the state of Iowa and make it serve the needs of the state and our national defense system better.
Yeah, really great examples, right? I mean, just again, helping the economy in real time, right? And
Yep.
the family business center, those are sometimes delicate situations to navigate, as you mentioned. And so sharing best practices or maybe even sharing worst practices that companies
Exactly.
expect us to avoid are so valuable, right?
Yep.
And look, those transitions happen.
Yep.
And for the university to recognize that need and to put something together. I've heard from our IBC member companies that participate in that, how valuable that is, and what a great opportunity to help small, medium, and large businesses all around the state.
Yeah, you can't say enough for what Randy Pilkington and Drew Conrad and their colleagues at the Business and Community Services Center has done.
Yeah, no question. So let's kind of circle back to the workforce side. We've talked a lot about how UNI is playing to the needs of Iowa's current and future workforce. But what are some of the other important areas that the university is investing time and effort in to make sure that next generation of Iowans are well educated, well prepared, and more able to engage in the future workforce than ever before? Some of the things we've not covered yet.
Yeah, I think the important thing for any university to do is to really look at their academic programs continually, right? To make sure that you've got academic programs that are aligned not with just the jobs of today, but the jobs that are going to be coming to the state, the region, whatever region they're serving. And for us, that really is the entire state and up into Minnesota, Illinois, and Wisconsin a little bit. And so you've always got to be looking at your curriculum, listening to the business leaders. That's what's so important about the Iowa Business Council and the Business Education Alliance is this opportunity to really have relationships with leaders so that you can say, where are things going? What do you see as the developing jobs? What do you see as the developing skill sets that your educated employees need that not just today, but 10 years from now, 20 years from now, so that we can give them, if not the skill set, the mindset to develop the skills when they become available. And so it's about making sure they've got the knowledge and the skills and the habits of mind, the ways of thinking and processing to be able to keep themselves upskilled
Yeah.
and ready to go in their careers. So really watching those academic programs and then continuing to make sure that they get the professional development that they need while they're here so that they really are ready to take that job in their career path when they graduate from the University of Northern Iowa.
I think what you're talking about, if I could paraphrase, is really making sure that individual is very well rounded, not just in hard skills, but soft skills and leadership skills. When we talk to our members, we're talking about, can they think critically? Can they lead teams? Are they able to troubleshoot? Can they work through difficult problems that will
Yep.
inevitably impact, if not their day, every single hour of the day as they're working on challenges. And so that's great that you're focusing on all of those areas.
Yeah, that is important, and it happens in all of our disciplines. You mentioned the $25 million gift we got from David Wilson to rename the college, and the thing that amazes a lot of people is business wasn't his degree, right? His
Yeah.
undergraduate degree's in philosophy. And if you talk to him, you don't have to talk to him very long, and he says, what you and I gave me in that degree, what it taught me to think.
Yeah.
It taught me how to be an ethical business owner, even though it didn't necessarily teach me business. I learned that, but I learned how to think and how to solve problems and how to treat people ethically and how to build an ethical business. And that's the kind of success story that every university wants to have, and that we try to get for every one of our students. If we can help them learn to think critically about the world around them, solve problems, not just in their businesses, but in their communities and their families, and be able to address those, write well, speak well, be able to communicate with others, build teams, then we're going to be okay as a society if we can keep our focus on that and our students are graduating with that level of skill.
Without question. So as you think about your future students that are making decisions probably right now about, when to apply, how to apply, parents as well. So much has changed in higher education over the last several years. What advice would you give to parents and prospective students on ensuring their success at UNI as they continue to approach that time to apply and then make a decision to attend and then enroll?
Yeah. So for those especially that are in not yet graduated from high school, so they're in high school at the moment, junior high, or they're parents of these young people, contact us early. Contact the schools that you think might be on your list of places you'd like to go. Contact them as a sophomore. Don't wait until you're a senior. And I say this, the data says that's important. The students that have a relationship with a university 3 years before they matriculate are much, much more successful. They're much, much more likely to graduate than students that have the first relationship with the university the year they're going to graduate from high school. They get comfortable. They build an understanding of who's on that campus, what they're going to be able to do. They start to find some of the resources even before they apply. And that relationship is built, right? And you can be much more successful in anything you do if you have a relationship with the people you're going to be, whether getting an education from or doing business with. And so the sooner that you can get in touch with, especially the University of Northern Iowa, because it is the greatest educational institution in the state, the sooner you can do that, the better for your students' success here at the University of Northern Iowa. And from my perspective, being involved in advanced courses, critical thinking courses, writing courses, I used to do some professional development with young people, and they'd ask me, I want to be a scientist. What should I take? I said, well, you can take the science if you want to, but I can teach you that later. What I can't teach you necessarily is how to write well and how to speak well and how to do basic mathematics and bring your math skills up as high as you can. Learn to work in teams. Start to do that now. We're going to help you do more of that. But, get engaged in those writing courses, get engaged in the math courses, and more than anything else, get engaged in some of the things that will improve your ability to be creative. Get into the arts, learn to play an instrument, get into the choir, go out for theater, learn to paint or draw. The most the best scientists I know are the ones that are most creative. They come up with ways of solving problems that other people can't see, and almost all of them have a background in the arts, right? So I had a colleague that used to take these large astronomical instruments that were the size of a desk, a large desk, and then build them so that they'd fly in a sounding rocket. So they had to fit in an 18-inch tube that was 4 inches in diameter. You don't do that without a great deal of creativity. He could also sit down and play anything at the piano that you would just hum a couple bars on, right? He made Linus look absolutely silly at a piano. So and he worked his way through high school playing in piano bars, right? But that level of creativity is important, and figuring out how to grow that creative background and being a part of those things is really essential.
Great advice. Great advice to be a lifelong learner and create lifelong skills that you can call upon throughout your entire career. Mark, let's switch gears a little bit. These last few questions are maybe a bit more personal, but I think feedback that we've received have been some of the more enjoyable responses. Look, you're president of a university, effectively the CEO of a very large business. You are the CEO of a very large business. People are interested in how leaders like you get things done and how you structure your day. And so maybe more of a lightning round sort of topic here. Let's start with how you structure your day. You're a bit different than, the CEO of Vermeer or Principal or Ruan. You've got so many different campus activities all across your calendar, I'm sure. How does a university president structure their day to maximize the impact?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really important, and it's no different for me or the presidents of any other business. You really have to know your employees, and in my case, that means employees and students. You've got to know your customer. You've got to know your employees. I hate thinking about students as customers because we're really a service organization, right? And it's a little bit different. And our employees, because of the structure of universities, we're more like an employee-owned business in many ways, right? They have a great deal of say in how this business called the University of Northern Iowa operates. So I try to spend a lot of time out in the activities that students are engaged in, that faculty are engaged in. It's why my wife and I attend so many of our not only athletic events, but the cultural events on campus at the Gallagher Bluedorn Performing Arts Center or the Strayer Woods Theater. We spend some time in the art gallery, getting over to the Mocker Union. I've always said that, the thing that I know about presidents is that every one of them has made a decision that had an impact on a university for 40 years. Some of those have been positively impacts, and some of them have had negative impacts. If I have any hope of being able to get that decision right, I've got to know and understand what the culture of this campus is, how students are thinking about things, how the employees are thinking about things. So any opportunity I have to meet with people is one that I want to take advantage of. I do have meetings on campus. I also structure a lot of meetings with alums to understand what was important to them when they were here. And then, of course, you've got to work with your stakeholders that are making decisions as well, whether it's the state legislature, our congressional delegation in DC, as well as local stakeholders here, the Cedar Falls Economic Development Authority Commission, city governments around the area, county governments. All of those are really critical to try to maintain those. And the secret to managing that is to have a really exceptional executive secretary who handles all of those, and she knows your priorities. And you sit down once a week and say, yeah, these are things I think are important. And then she just does it, right? So Jennifer is the wizard. I guess I'm the guy in the big mask, but she actually gets everything done. It's really vital to have an executive assistant that understands the priorities that you see are needed for your operation, and then can manage the flow of work and manage my schedule so that I can be in the right place at the right time with the right things in my hand to be able to meet the needs of the people around the organization and around the state.
Yeah. We know Jennifer well for many years when I worked at UNI, and she is exactly that, a wizard, and is not afraid to tell something you may not want to hear, which is also really important too.
Yeah, yeah, her big skill, I have the one skill I do not have is I'm horrible at saying no. Jennifer knows how to do that and is able to do it in a way that everybody feels like, oh yeah, that's a good answer.
Right, right. Well, Jennifer, if you're watching, thanks for saying yes to this interview here today. Mark, you've got to keep on task with so many different pieces of information, whether it's topical to business, higher education, the community. How do you stay informed on such a broad array of topics to make sure that you're operating with full information and with the latest information as possible?
Yeah, within higher ed, it's the Chronicle of Higher Ed, a national, really a trade organization for higher education institutions is an important one. I serve on the board of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, and of course, there's information that flows from them. They're a national president's organization that does a lot of federal legislative work for us, but also just keeps us informed about what's going on, not just legislatively, but in the big picture and across states and things of that sort. But outside of that, the Wall Street Journal is an important source of information for me. I read it daily, and then NPR. I listen to that when I'm in the car and driving, and it gives me, there's a slightly different perspective between those two news agencies, and it gives me a perspective on what the balance is and where there's agreement. Everybody looks at the world just a little bit differently, and that helps a lot. Locally, the Des Moines Business Record is an important source of information about what's going on in the business community because its reach is well outside of Des Moines. But then very locally, of course, the Waterloo Courier is a source that I pay attention to. The Gazette gives us some great news really across the entire state, but down through the Cedar Valley in particular. And I used to be a Des Moines Register paper boy, so always picking the Register up and taking a look at it. But you've got to, I think, have a breadth of things that you're looking at so that you get these different perspectives and different takes on things. It's just really, really important to be able to take a little bit of time and see what's going on out there and look at the different ways people are viewing it.
That's right. That's right. So speaking of reading and consuming, what book are you currently reading or recently finished that you'd recommend to others?
So this is a little tiny thing. Economic development is still not for amateurs. It's a little book that one of our alums gave me this fall. It's written by Jay Garner, and it really is for people like me who have a very limited background in economic development, right? I'm an astronomer, physics and math, but I serve on the Cedar Falls Economic Development Commission, and have always been engaged at least since I became a president chancellor in helping the economy of the local region in particular and the state grow. So what's that really mean? What are the important issues? How do you do that? How do you help city councils and other government agencies understand the importance of economic development, their role in that? It's just a nice little ditty on that. One of them that I haven't started to read yet, but I just became aware of, and I'm excited about getting the books. We just ordered it the other day. It's to show up next week. Is Making Differences Work. It's I got the full title. I still have it laying here because I just ordered it. A new values-based, culture-driven, people-centric approach to achieving commonality, equality, cohesion, and business. It's written by Paul Zavardi. He's the CEO of a large HR firm, and I'm just excited to see what he has to say in that and what I can learn about how you build cohesion within businesses, right? It's so important for our students as they leave. It's important for us as a university to have that level of community, of cohesion, of being able to work together and work in teams across cultures, across divisions, things of that sort. So excited about that. And then one that I would always recommend is it's called Listening Point by Sigurd Olson. Sigurd is a writer from northern Minnesota. He's passed away, but it's all about the Northwoods Lakes, and he's canoed many of the rivers that flow into the Arctic Ocean. Spent a lot of time in the boundary water. So anything that it's the way that I relax and let some of these other things simmer and bring them into the perspective of the rest of the world. So anything by Sigurd Olson.
Those are good recommendations. We're writing those down. So this is a judgment-free question, but are there any shows that you're binging on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu that you're excited about?
You know, the only thing that I binge watch at all is Panther Athletics.
There you go. Good
And
call.
Panther and the cult. I really don't watch much television. I am partial to NCIS, and
Mhm.
I will admit to watching an occasional Hallmark movie with my wife. I just can't escape those. But she and I both spend a lot more time sitting in a seat in the McLeod Center or over in the Dome or on one of the steps of the pool or at the softball diamond or in our car watching a soccer game than we do watching anything on TV. And you'll oftentimes find us checking the other sports scores while we're setting in an event. We just love being engaged in college athletics. My wife was a college volleyball player, and we just love getting out and supporting students, not just the student athletes, but also those that are performing in the arts on our campus or reporting out on their undergraduate research projects at one of our forums, just engaging with the campus and especially its students and faculty and staff. Yeah.
That's a great answer. A lot of great opportunities there right around campus to choose from. That's great.
It's one of the greatest things about being on a university campus is there's always something going on.
That's great. Well, Mark, that concludes our question set. Before we let you go, is there any final comments or bits of wisdom you'd like to leave us with today?
You know, just one thanks to the Iowa Business Council, one for having the foresight to create the Business Education Alliance. I think a lot of states don't understand, or at least have not put in place a way for the business community to be really connected, intentionally connected to the educational institutions in the state. And, not just the public institutions, right? Drake's on there, the community colleges. It really is a way for the business community to understand where higher education is going and for higher education to have the contacts that we need to be able to ask the tough questions about where's the economy going? What are the skill sets that we need? What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? While all of our campuses will have advisory committees, it's an opportunity to sit down with the CEOs and the CEOs of higher ed to sit down and talk about the big challenges that we're all facing and do so in a pretty open and occasionally raw way to say, this is a problem. We've got to work on this. That really has a tremendous value, and it's one of the things that puts our state in a very good place, I think, as we try to grow the economy and grow the quality of life here in the state so that people not only have jobs here, but actually want to live here, want to work here, want to grow here and learn here and play here. And it really is important to have the Business Education Alliance in place to help build that breadth to our economic development.
Well, we certainly value, yeah, we certainly value your participation, your leadership. You're always at the meetings, willing to raise your hand, participate, engage in the conversation, and have thoughtful conversation about what those challenges are. And that really helps us all. It's a cliche to say, but we're all in this together. The better that we can align higher education, K through 12 education, the business community for workforce and economic development in the state is going to lead to really good things for our long-term health.
Absolutely.
And so we really appreciate that. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Go Panthers. We look forward to seeing you soon. Again, got a big win last night on the basketball court. Look forward to more here coming up soon. But in all sincerity, thanks for all your leadership in our state. You're a tremendous resource. We wish you the best of the rest of this semester, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It's always good to get together with alums, and they are all Panther proud. So
right.
Thanks
Go
again, Joe.
Panthers. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in today.